Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down Caitlin Clark, TYRESE Haliburton, her buddy who can't make a shot to save his life, and many more topics here on the show today. G Money Grant Mitchell, how you doing?
I'm doing very good, Tanner. We had a flood watch last night. There's like mulch and mud stains on my garage door. Little overcast outside right now, but getting to talk to you. We got a lot of topics to talk about. Normally it's the dead season and we're scrambling for things, but we got content today. So I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, thank God for the NBA scheduling that goes 10 years after the season ends. We have time. We'll be talking about NBA playoffs till football season starts.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Game 7 is Game 7 on Sunday if it happens?
Yeah, so we're going into game 6 on Wednesday.
Yep, it will be Thursday.
Thursday. So we give them 3 days in between each turn. That's dumb. But anyways, that's what the NBA wants to do. There's not a lot going on right now in sports world, but we're finding things to talk about, like Caitlin Clark, how she's just like dominating the ratings for the WNBA, how she is the meal ticket for the WNBA. We're going to break all that down here. But Grant, tell the people why they need to subscribe to the YouTube channel and then also check out WSN.com.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, myself and Tanner are putting out some great content here, so you really want to hit that subscribe button so you're always tuned into everything. And then, listen, if you're into sports betting in any shape or form, whether you like betting on matches or games in ping pong, you like talking about the NFL, whatever it is, if you go to WSN.com, home of the World Sports Network, you are going to get picks for different games, props from experts, and you're also going to get bonus codes for sports books. That's going to unlock things like bonus bets, profit boost, get you some extra opportunities, make your journey more profitable. So go check it out, WSN.com.
I will never understand why anyone in the WNBA picks on Caitlin Clark. I mean, I think we're kind of over that phase. I think people just know she is that person for the league, but she is literally the reason they're flying charter planes to games. Like, she is the reason that they're on ESPN consistently. They're not on ION all the time. They're on ESPN, especially once the NBA playoffs end. They're on ESPN all the time. Like, that was not the case before Caitlin Clark arrived. And it still puzzles me that like one player transformed the league and like she was the chosen one. We've talked about that all the time here. But the bottom line is she legitimately is the meal ticket for the league. Ratings down 55% across the entire WNBA when she was injured. Fever games were down 53%. I understand fever games, but she brought down the entire WNBA.
Yeah, that's the crazy part, because if LeBron goes out, the ratings are going to go down for primetime games, but Bucks fans are still going to watch Giannis, and I was going to say Mavs fans with Luka. That's something we're actually going to talk about later with the Devers trade. But point being, you've got enough superstars around the league that it's like, okay, if your favorite one's missing, well, your favorite team's here, or you got another guy you like watching, there's a game they can flex into prime time, whatever it is. With Caitlin Clark, she has just captivated the national audience so much that people don't really care. It's not just her and her team. It's the storyline of the entire league. And that has a carryover of, if she's not playing, then on First Take or Get Up, whatever the shows are, they're not discussing the WNBA. So the casual WNBA fans don't know that there's a primetime game tonight, and the league just loses all this momentum.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, because when you promote the WNBA, and all the major channels do this, they only talk about Caitlin Clark. So it makes sense that when she goes out, the entire WNBA is going to struggle. But this would never be the case in men's sports. I know it's a totally different avenue, what we're going down here, men's versus women's sports. But like in men's sports, you're talking about LeBron going out. If he goes out, Laker games would be down, but nothing else would be down. Like every other team, like obviously if you're going to get Lakers Celtics in primetime, that's going to be a very heavily watched game. But if you get Bucks Knicks in primetime, like you're still going to get a heavily watched game. Like LeBron's not going to impact that one because he's not involved in it. So it's just really interesting to see what's going on here with the W right now. Do you think that the league appreciates Caitlin Clark enough?
I think that's hard to answer, because I'm sure the people in power, the decision makers, the coaches, retired players, I think they respect her enough. Do her competitors? I don't think they do. And it's a strange sort of line to walk, because I'm not advocating that they take it easy on her. I'm not the physical play, fouling her, talking smack to her. I'm not saying any of that is wrong or bad or it needs to disappear. Some of that, in some ways, it actually needs to exist because you need these rivalries to develop the league. And we always talk about Angel Reese and how she's not Caitlin Clark's level. Why are they in the same story? Well, they're in the same story because there needs to be a villain to the hero. But from the standpoint of them basically treating her, like going out of their way sometimes to foul her, to make her hurt herself, to try to injure her, that's where they go too far. Because you're not establishing a rivalry. You're acting out of jealousy, out of envy. And you might not like it that she's in the spotlight more than you. You might not like that she's getting millions and millions of dollars in endorsement deals. But if she is increasing the quality for everyone in the league, bringing more eyes, more money to everybody, then to a certain extent, you've got to just play along with it.
Well, realistically, no one's talking about Angel Reese anymore. I think the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark rivalry is kind of dead.
Well, I want to say shout out to Angel Reese. She did get a triple-double the other night. I think her and Caitlin are the only ones with double-doubles this year. Or either they're the only ones or they're the only ones under a certain age with double-double or triple-doubles, excuse me.
Nobody really talked about it, though.
No, you're right. I mean, Caitlin Clark is the story because when that happened, Caitlin Clark came back from her injury and had 32, 9, and 8.
Yeah, so pretty close to a triple-double. But when I look at the Angel Reese Caitlin Clark rivalry, there is no rivalry. And I think we're getting to that point now because of how bad Caitlin Clark whooped her early in the season. Also because of the fact that the Fever dominated the Sky without her on the floor. So there's really no rivalry. Now, pretty funny stuff actually happened yesterday. Gino Auriemma went on Dan Patrick a year ago, and the quote started to recirculate because I think the news of the ratings drop came out, without Caitlin Clark, and then also just the fact that she's dominating right now. And Gino had a couple interesting quotes. She's just not built for the physicality of the league. This was said a year ago. And she's not quick enough to get away from the physicality. So there's a lot of learning curve, like Diana said. And when she gets it, she has elite skills that will really help her, but she needs to be on a better team and she needs more experience, and that will come. So said she wasn't ready for the physicality of the league, also called her fan base delusional, and said that she should have never been fourth in the WNBA MVP odds last season at that point. But she's already like one of the best, 2010 games ever or something like that.
Yeah, I don't want to go. I'm not going to pick Gino Auriemma apart because he knows more basketball than you and I and everybody watching this. I'm not saying anything bad about his basketball knowledge.
You don't like Caitlin, though.
I think because she's not a UConn girl, and for the most part, he has coached or he's responsible for most of the WNBA stars over the last 20, 30 years, however long. I think it's not jealousy. I think it's just a little standoffishness. I do think there's credence to what he said. The Fever were awful when she got there. I remember writing an article about it. I don't think they'd had a winning record since like 2016 or something like that. And they were just abysmal the year before. So I get that, it's somebody who Caitlin is athletic compared to most people, but she's not super athletic. It's a rookie. She wasn't really getting much time from college to the transition to the pros. I can see everything he was saying. I think he could have maybe been a little softer in what he was saying, but it's also not his job to.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The bottom line, though, is that I posted a video the other day. I was talking about Caitlin Clark, and someone was like, I got probably the WNBA crowd instead of the crowd that I'm in, but it was more like Paige Beckers dropped 30. Paige Beckers did this the other night. I'm like, nobody cares. Sorry. I love Paige Beckers. Nobody cares.
Well, you know what? It would actually be great for the league if Paige and Caitlin developed a rivalry.
That would be the best rivalry we could probably find, but also, she's on a bad team too. Caitlin's more established. We'll see what happens. Speaking of rivalries, though, TYRESE Haliburton needs to study some game film. That wasn't much of a segue, but dude, he sucks. My God, you can't do what you did in Game 5 and expect to have anyone on your side. I mean, I know he's big for them. He's carried them to this point, but you can't do what you did in Game 5. That was ridiculous.
I read a stat, and I don't remember the full context of it, but it was essentially something like TYRESE Haliburton is the first player in NBA history to play 30 minutes, have 0 field goals made, 0 3-pointers made, obviously 3 fouls, 3 turnovers, lose a game. It was something like that. Legitimately one of the worst finals games from a star in NBA history. He didn't make a field goal. He finished with 4 points. And this is kind of my biggest takeaway from it. First of all, he was limited by what the calf strain, whatever it was. He was clearly limited because you didn't really see it with him running too much. He actually still looked okay, but he was just not involved in the offense all that much. A lot of the time, what I think Rick Carlisle knew OKC was doing, they had Lou Dort face guarding Haliburton. So like, don't even look anywhere else. Don't worry about, just find where he is. I think they purposefully kind of positioned Haliburton away to try to create some space and basically let the rest of the Pacers just play 4-on-4. I think that was kind of Rick Carlisle's thinking. Like, we trust our 4 more than those 4, and we're just going to let him go at it. And Tyrese can, throw some early passes in transition and get assists where he can. But I mean, for him to play 34 minutes, like, you're an all NBA guy. If you're out there, you have to be able to contribute something. And Haliburton, as great as he has not scored more than 22 points in a game in this final series. I'm not saying that he needs to be averaging 30, but you have seen some of his limitations in this series. And I think if LeBron, if Steph, if KD, Giannis, Jokic, Anthony Edwards, whoever you want to go to, if those guys were injured, they would still find ways to positively impact the game because they have so many different tools that they can dip into. With Haliburton, he's injured, 4 points, no made field goals. I think his biggest thing is physicality. I think he has to get in the weight room. Not that he's got to get jacked, but if he can get like even half of what Russell Westbrook has, he'll be more explosive. He'll be a little more physically resistant. And in a night like this where he can't create separation and make threes, maybe he can get to the free throw line and knock down some shots there.
I mean, it's unacceptable that you play 34 minutes. You only shoot the ball 6 times. That's the first issue here. You only find a way to get 6 shots up. I mean, 0 for 6 is one thing, but it's more, but for me, it's not about how he didn't score. It's about the lack of shots and attempts that he was able to get up. Because if OKC does that to him in game 6, it's over. If Tyrese Haliburton's only shooting the ball 6 times, chances are the Thunder are winning that game. Grant.
That was his fewest shot attempts since February 4th, and he only played 25 minutes in that game.
Yeah, so pretty embarrassing on the floor for that long. I genuinely think I could play 34 minutes in the NBA and get a bucket.
I do too.
I think I could. I like off the dribble. I mean, I got to catch it off the pass and get a quick shot up. But I do think I could play 34 minutes and get 1 bucket.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I would be extremely efficient, but he wasn't either. He was 0 for 6. And he did have Lou Dort guarding him, one of the best players in the NBA. So, yeah, that makes it a lot tougher. But I'm with you. I think I can make 1 shot.
Yeah, just coming off the, someone sets a pick, I come off it, Lou Dort gets stoned, and then I just knock a 3 down. Place goes nuts. I think
why would the place go nuts?
Because I'm just dialed in. Everyone would want to see me succeed. All right, so
kind of like TJ McConnell.
Yeah, kind of like TJ McConnell. Is he taller than me? No, probably not.
No, he's like 6'1".
All right, so yeah, people love listen. Everybody loves seeing white guys succeed in the NBA, like short white guys. Like I would still be a short white guy in the NBA, so you would too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you're 6'4". You're actually tall. I'm 6 foot.
Yeah, but like in the NBA, I would be a short white guy. Like people would look at me if I had a big game in the playoffs, like a TJ McConnell or like a Peyton Pritchard. What's Peyton Pritchard? 6'3"?
No, he's probably 6'1" too.
Let me see.
TJ McConnell gives hope to all of us who looked like future math teachers one day that it's like, no, if we really trained for it, we could have been there.
You know how bad of a man you have to be 6'1" and like dominate in the NBA and be white, like a white 6'1" athlete in the NBA? That's insane.
Dude, McConnell had like 14 points in 1 quarter, whatever, 12, 14 points, whatever it was. He finished the game with 18 points.
I don't care about McConnell. I care about Peyton Pritchard. He's a dog.
Well, he might be your starting guard when Jaylen Brown gets traded.
Is Jaylen Brown gonna get traded, do you think?
They're taking calls. They're trying to offload I think they're trying to offload Jaylen Brown, or at least they've like offered Jaylen Brown and Porzingis, and then other teams want Derek White, or maybe they want Brown and White, and the Celtics are trying to get rid of Porzingis. I forget the combination.
I mean, I would give Porzingis away for a Hershey's bar right now. Like that's where I'm at with it, Mr. Goodbar. Trade Porzingis.
I saw the Suns are doing their research on Porzingis, and I'm like, that would be such a Phoenix Suns move with where they're at right now.
Do we know if he, like, people were saying, this is not, me trying to make a joke. Like, people said he had AIDS. Like, do we know? Like, every symptom he was saying he had, that's what he had, and they weren't telling us.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have not heard anything more about that. What disease he had?
No, but he had something, and it was also synonymous with not being able to play basketball in the playoffs. He was terrible. Anyways, Grant, the Celtics should be in the finals right now, but since they're not, the Pacers are plus 900 going into game 6. If you like the Pacers, I think to win outright. All right, here's would be my strategy. If you like the Pacers in game 6 to win outright, instead of taking plus 172, you could take plus 900 to win the series. Take plus 900 to win the series. They find a way to win at home. They've been really good. Caitlin Clark will be in the house, right? And then if you want to, there's probably going to be a pretty good time to hedge at some point in that game 7, I imagine. I don't think the Thunder are going to be minus 11 throughout the entire game. I think that'll come back to earth a little bit. So that could be a little strategy play right there for you.
I thought that this was going to go 7 before last night tipped off. I was like, these teams have just been very close, very almost inseparable throughout the series, and I thought we were going to go 7. With Haliburton's injury, I'm now uncertain of that, but I balanced that by saying to myself, this was a 4 point game in the fourth quarter with Haliburton not making a field goal. If there's one thing I have to give the Pacers credit for, I thought the Thunder's depth showed up more in game 1 and game 2. But from that point on, the others on the Pacers have completely dominated the Thunder. Like if we take out Shea and Haliburton and Jalen Williams and Pascal Siakam, the Pacers have been dominating the rest of the matchup. Outside of those 4 guys, top 2 guys from every team or from each team. Obi Toppin has been great. Benedict Mathurin had that huge game. TJ McConnell has been really good. Aaron Nesmith has been ridiculous. Nemhard's defense has been incredible. So even if Haliburton isn't at 100%, if he can give you like 15 and 6, the Pacers could win game 6 and take this to 7.
And then if it gets to 7, you got a chance.
Anyone's got a chance in a game 7. That's what you always say.
Anyone's got a chance in game 7. I mean, it's not just easily going to go to the Thunder. So I think the Pacers are going to win game 6. I really do.
Let me see what the odds are here. You've got the Thunder at -5 on the road, which is basically the exact same as it was for game 3 and game 4.
Yeah. I mean, I truly think they're going to win this game. They've been very good at home. The place is going to be rocking. You tend to not want to go down at home. I think we're going to see some pretty good effort in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I would love it. I would love to see a game 7. Hoping that we get a game 7 in the Stanley Cup final as well, although it kind of looks like the Panthers might be running away with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's going to be hard for the Oilers to win game 6 on the road tonight, but you never know. I mean, the last time they were in Florida, they came back from a 3-0 deficit. So we'll see what happens there. Speaking of that game, though, Grant, the best way to talk about the Stanley Cup game is the viral better. $13 to win $270,000. It was a 5-leg parlay. Had the Eagles on there, had the Liberty, Dodgers. Now it has Oilers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So the Thunder look good, pending, they can lose a game. It can go home for game 7, but they need a win by the Oilers to extend the series tonight. If they do not get it, their ticket is done. And they had at one point $123,000 cash out offer. So it's going to be a pretty tough pill to swallow. I think if I had to pick tonight, I'd probably take the Florida Panthers to win the game and end it in 6. But you never know. I can't imagine passing down that $123,000 cash out.
Yeah, I can't either. And it's funny because I've been reading some responses and tweets and everything to that. Like, and somebody was saying, surely there was a way to hedge this. And it's like, I mean, if you've got $100,000 liquid just waiting, then yeah, you could hedge it. But I don't really think that's something that's realistic for a lot of people out there, especially a kid who just graduated college, probably still paying off his student loans. Yeah, the $130,000 cash out offer at a certain extent, we talked about this last week, I think. I'm a big advocate of you never cash out. That goes out the window when you have one of these like $10 futures parlays that's on the cusp of hitting. And not that $130,000 is life-changing money in a vacuum, thinking about how much money you're going to make, how much you're going to spend over the course of your lifetime. But to someone who just graduated college, I don't know his business, but very well could not have a job, and you want that start to your life. I was reading actually something the other day that is some financial company, I forget exactly what, but they said you want a year's salary saved up by the time that you're 30 years old. And that's not a great measure because people make different amounts, obviously. But point being, $130,000 for a kid just get out of college, that's probably more than a year's salary. And he would be able to put that right in the bank at 24 years old, however old he is. So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great right now. If the Oilers do win and it's 3-3 with a game 7, and then you've got the Thunder up 3-2, that cash out offer is probably going to go back to 100K, or it's going to be close to it. And at that point, like, I feel like you might have to stop. You might have to stop tempting fate. You might need to take that one.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think he's going to. Like, I think he's locked in. I mean, there's a video of him saying F the 100K. Like, we're all in on this ticket, which probably is never going to age well, but you never know. I think for him, my buddy and me were talking about this, and it's like he should have cashed out at 123,000. Well, realistically, it's like when 3 of the championship legs cashed and he was getting a $5,000 cash out, like he probably should have cashed it out then. When you really think about the concept and the context of the ticket and the scheme of all this, like $13 to 5K is a huge win. Like that's a massive win. Like that's something that I think many people would have just taken on the spot, not worried about the last 2 legs, or let it ride to the playoffs, knowing they're both going to be playoff teams and then cash out for 20 grand or 30 grand. But if you pass up 20 and 30, I don't think 100 is going to change you, because like turning 13 into 30 and not taking that, I feel like it's a little greedy. But if you don't take 30,000, why would you take 100,000? Like that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find what the 2024 WNBA championship odds were. I believe the Liberty were definitely up there. I don't remember the exact odds.
They might have been minus. They might have been minus.
Yeah, so I mean that's not that crazy of a pick. The Eagles pick, I can understand now looking at it. It's like that was a smart pick, as it is every time. But nobody was really saying the Eagles were going to win the Super Bowl last year, so that was a good pick. And the other one was the Dodgers, right? The Dodgers, they're the best team on paper, but like at the same time, they did always underperform in the playoffs. So it kind of looks like it now that it was just like, oh, he picked all the favorites, but it's not really what it was when he made this ticket.
Well, he picked the Eagles when Saquon got signed. Like that was what. So I mean, they were 15 or 16 to 1 at that point. So then he had that, and then the Liberty obviously were dominant, and then. Looking at the Dodgers, they were probably 2 to 1, 3 to 1 when he got it, but that's still a decent odds for a parlay. And it's baseball too; anything can happen. But
the Thunder became huge favorites. They did not start the year that way.
But yeah, what were they, like 3 to 1, 4 to 1 though?
When the season started, no,
they were pretty low. Grant,
let me see here. 2024-25 NBA preseason finals.
They jumped the Celtics like halfway through the year.
The Thunder started the year at 7 to 1.
Really? Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they were still second in odds, but it was 7 to 1.
What were the Celtics? 3 to 1. Thunder were 7.
Plus 325. Knicks were plus 700. The 76ers were plus 1,000.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's insane. So, do you think the ticket's going to hit, Grant?
I think the Thunder will win. From what I have seen, it looks like it's easier for the Panthers to beat the Oilers than it is for the Oilers to beat the Panthers. Like if you look at these results, the Oilers have 2 wins, both in overtime. The Panthers won 1 game 5-4, but then they also have wins of 6-1 and 5-2. So the series is 3-2. And the Panthers 3 wins, they are +9 in goal difference. And the Oilers 2 wins, they're +2 in goal difference. Like, it just shows you that there's been more dominance on that Panthers side. So even if it does get to a game 7, you would probably be thinking the Panthers, they beat the Oilers in the Stanley Cup final last year. They know that they can do it. They're confident. The Oilers, yeah, they can take on that mentality of like, we're back against the wall. We got to dig deep with everything we have. But there's also probably this sense of inferiority almost, like, oh, we can't beat these guys. So no, I don't think it's going to hit because of that.
Yeah, it's a tough spot because the Oilers, I mean, even their last win, it took a 3-0 comeback. Like, how often do teams come back 3-0? And they play, don't get me wrong, they dominated the majority of the game outside of the first 3 flurry of goals that the Panthers got. But it's still, they were down 3-0. How often do teams come back 3-0 in hockey? It's really tough to do. So I will say it's not going to hit. I hope it does for the kid, but I'm going to say it's not going to hit. And the comments are going to be ruthless.
Did you see Connor McDavid's halftime speech?
No, what did he say?
Or not halftime. I think it was after the first period. But
I didn't see that. I saw the one last year where he was like, let's go.
Yeah, he was it was F-bomb central. He was basically saying like, this is insane. Like, why are we not trying? How are we letting this happen? And they responded to him. So maybe he's got another one of those in the tuck.
Maybe he does. Maybe he does. You know who didn't respond, Grant? Rafael Devers. Rafael Devers didn't respond. They said, hey, Rafi, go play first base, buddy. Go play first. He said, no, I play DH. First off, it all started by him saying, hey, are you going to play third base? Are you going to play DH? Are you willing to DH for the team? He goes, no, I play third. So we've just been a bad spot for Rafael Devers. So the Red Sox traded him. This was like a bomb. This was shocking to me. And you know what? Like, when the Luka trade went down, I didn't realize like how impactful that would be on a fan base. But I think Luka obviously is a bigger trade. Like, I want to set the standard here. It's a bigger deal to trade Luka on a team where there's only 12 guys and 7 or 8 of them play, and Luka's your star. And that one really came out of nowhere. I feel like with the Devers one, there were a lot of signs building up that, hey, this guy might not be here for a while, but you just never thought it would go through. But it hit me pretty hard, Grant. I don't wish that on you. It's like Jaden Daniels getting traded in the middle of the night.
I mean, that will never happen, or I shouldn't say never. It won't happen for at least like 5 years. So I'm just going to enjoy the times while I have them. I read, and you're the Red Sox fan here and also the baseball guy, so feel free to tell me if this is wrong, but I've read that Devers like refusing to play first and kind of the unwinding of the chemistry there. It's not all him. Like, I saw something about who's the prospect they just called up, the best prospect they have?
Roman Anthony.
Like, I saw something after his error in the outfield. The next day, they made him do a punishment drill in front of the media, like specifically so they could capture it. And like, they were chewing people out. It just seems like things inside the locker room might not be great there.
I didn't see that story, but I can believe that things are not great inside the locker room. But again, I think usually I'm a believer of talent over everything. Like, at least you need a couple guys there that like talent is just, that's the number one thing. If they're bad locker room guys, so be it. But like, talent over everything. With Rafael Devers, they didn't want the bad culture there. And it's crazy listening to the interviews last night, because they had the big press conference before the game, and they interviewed the players and like, what's the deal moving on from Rafael Devers? And nobody really seemed upset. And I was talking to my girlfriend about this because she's a pretty big Red Sox fan. And she's like, well, they just got to keep playing. I'm like, yeah, but like, if the face of your franchise, if someone everyone liked got traded, you could see it a little more in their face. They were like, we're here to play baseball. We're moving on. It didn't seem like they were too sick of him, or they were happy to see him go. That's what I meant. It seemed like they were sick of him. So maybe it was the right move from that perspective.
So I saw Bill Simmons put this out there, and I think Bill Simmons is full of, I think he's entertaining. I think he's full of crap a lot of the time. But I got to say, I'm giving legs to this conspiracy theory, which is Liverpool, who just won the English Premier League, got a bunch of money because of that. They are in a better position to win than the Red Sox are. Liverpool is owned by Fenway Sports Group. This week, it looks like they're going to announce the record signing for the Premier League. German guy named Florian Wirtz. He cost them $158 million just to get him out from his previous team. And of course, they're going to have to pay his contract and agent fees and all that stuff on top of it. Do you think at all the money is tied together? We're sign inverts. We can't afford to pay Devers.
No, I do. Okay, I think they want to balance their books in some regard. I think they want to spend a proportionate amount everywhere. I I think I don't think it was a money issue because they signed Alex Bregman to a big contract. Like they signed Garrett Crochet. I think the bottom line with Devers, they didn't want to pay this much money for a DH. They didn't want to pay this money for a DH who's a bad culture guy. So I think if Devers was like, yeah, I want to play first and things are going well, like they're never going to trade him if he was that good culture guy. But like by him going he hated the GM. The GM hated him. He outwardly spoke about how bad him and the GM relationship was. He also didn't want to play first to help the team, but he was hitting at an exceptional level. But he also just didn't fit in there. So like I don't think it had anything to do with that. Don't get me wrong. I think they want balance amongst their teams. I think they want to put the money where the money is. With that being said, though, I still think just bad culture guy. They didn't want the bad culture guy there, and they sure as hell didn't want to pay him this much money. If they were paying him $8 million a year versus $25 million a year, they're probably keeping him at 8, but 25 is not worth it.
So if he's a bad culture guy and he's refusing to play first there, but now he's open to playing first with the Giants, is that again a sign that the Red Sox chemistry, the locker room is a mess?
Well, they just didn't communicate well with them. And that's the thing that was pissing me off last night when they did the Zoom call. They were basically saying that, like, all the journalists were asking, what do you guys, are you at fault here for your lack of communication? They're like, it's making us look inwardly to, blah, 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 a bunch of bullshit. But they never really admitted to it. They're like, if we were open with him the whole time, like he still might have had the same reaction. So they didn't really play into the fact that it was their fault, which kind of bothered me. But also there were stories coming out yesterday, like David Ortiz, Red Sox legend, MLB legend. He's like, I would do anything for the team. He said he's reached out to Rafael Devers multiple times to give him advice, and Devers has rarely returned his phone call. Like, that's a problem to me. If you're the starting quarterback of the Patriots and Tom Brady, if Drake May's there and Tom Brady reaches out to give you advice and you don't pick up the phone or return it, that's a problem. It's the same thing here. So when I saw that, I was kind of like, And then he was mad that one of the younger players took on first base practice. He started like training to play first base. That pissed him off too after he refused. So it was just obviously a bad culture guy. And I hope when I saw the trade go, I was like, please, please, please. I hope everybody hates him in the locker room, because that's the only way that I can validate him getting traded at this point, if everybody hates him.
Devers this season hitting 272, 15 home runs, which isn't amazing, but it's not bad. Tied for 15th. He's tied for 3rd in RBIs, 12th in OPS. The prospect haul, the player haul. From what I'm hearing, again, you know this better than me, sounds like it could have been better.
Yeah, but they also just wanted somebody to take on the full contract. Like that was the biggest prize of this deal, is somebody paying the remaining $250 million or whatever's on the deal. So it wasn't necessarily the talent that they got. I do think it's going to help them in some regard if they can fix him up a little bit. But yeah, they didn't get enough for him. But they also, to get a good player in return, you got to eat some of the contract money, and they weren't willing to do that.
I want to take a look at some of the futures odds. Wow, there's actually a whole Devers tab on FanDuel right now.
Well, they play the Red Sox this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like like in San Francisco, they're going to play the Red Sox. It was pretty cool. Player to hit 1+ home run, plus 144. 2+ home runs, obviously, plus 630, and then 3+ home runs, plus 1700. So we'll see.
NL West odds. The Dodgers currently 2.5 games ahead of the Giants, but don't tell that to FanDuel. They've got the Dodgers at -1,000, Giants at 13-1, Padres at 17-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think this helps the Giants long term. I don't think it helps them this year.
World Series odds. They are 9th at 26-1. League winner, they are 5th at 14-1.
Just the Red Sox
or Giants? These are the Giants.
Yeah. I mean, they're in the wild card spot. It helps them. They're trying to win now. They got somebody to take a big contract. They've always wanted to pay big contracts. Nobody wants to go there. So now they got their guy. They have a good talented team. Again, it helps them win right now. I do think they lost the trade, though. Overall, there's a lot of people saying that the value of the trade actually favors Boston, like statistically and mathematically, which is kind of crazy to think about it. But in the short term, I think the Giants obviously got the better piece of the deal.
That probably also plays into just the money that you have available now. You know, if the
Yeah.
Sox are able to make good use of their new money, then they could end up winning. But I think it's still on them. They still have to write the final chapter in that.
And also with numbers and analytics, it doesn't take into account like clubhouse perception. Like you can't identify culture through an analytic or stat.
So that's why I promise I'm not trying to bring this back to the Commanders because I'm a Commanders fan, but like that's what blew me away more than anything. Cause you know this, I'm like a nerdy numbers stat guy, and pretty much all the signings the Commanders made last year, like Eckler and Wagner, it's like guys past their prime, Zach Ertz declining, old, whatever, blah, blah, blah. There's no way to quantify the impact of a positive locker room and having everybody moving in the right direction and energy and just confidence. And that's, you know, it plays a big role in stuff. You can't see it unless you're in the locker room. You'll never know, but it does play a big role.
I do think culture is by far the most important thing in sports. Like you want to have you need talent, but if you don't have culture, it's not a good workplace. It's no different than a regular corporate job. Like good culture is going to win over and over again. So I hope Devers was a bad culture guy because I can defend it in that regard. But, you know, he probably became a little bit of a bad culture guy because of the decisions made by the front office too, which makes it tough. But it's crazy to see these star players getting traded. Like, and I know the Luka trade and the Devers trade are two totally different things, but you can make the case, well, it's the star of a franchise getting traded, somebody that you would never think would get traded. And you know, you didn't get a great haul in return. So it's going to impact a fan base in the same way. Like both fan bases are going to be pissed off for the most part. I think with the Red Sox, there were a few more people on the side of, hey, trade Rafael Devers after he chose not to play first base. But still, it's crazy to see the era that we're living in where everybody is dispensable.
Yeah, I do still think the Luka trade is crazier for that reason. Like Luka wanted to be there, he wanted to re-sign. Devers, he was disobeying the coaches, so you could kind of see things starting to fray apart.
Yeah, well, Luka was disobeying them too because he didn't work out.
Well, he wasn't disobeying them necessarily. He just wasn't showing up looking like a bodybuilder.
He wasn't putting the effort in. Yeah, he wasn't putting the effort they wanted to put in. But still, it's the same in the fact that star players getting traded when they are in a point where they probably should not be traded. And that's what's crazy to think about. That's the direction we're going in sports where, you know, I think we're so analytically driven in today's world. And maybe the Luka one wasn't analytics. Maybe it was with his defense. I'm not exactly sure, but we're seeing like what the contract value of a player is for what they're producing. And if they're not producing what the contract is worth and they're not being a good teammate guy or a good locker room guy, like they're going to get shipped out now. And so like these two trades are just setting the standard for more of these to happen in the future.
Did you see the Tyreek Hill stuff going on?
No, what happened there?
So last weekend he competed at a track race. He ran the 100-meter dash. And this was his first time since I think when he was in junior college that he had run he'd run the 100. I know maybe 1 or 2 years ago he did like a Masters 60 in an indoor track, but this was his first 100 in a decade. And he ran a 10:15, which is, I know that most people out there aren't familiar with track standards. Like that's fast. If an Olympic sprinter opened their season, because the way you got to train for running is weird, and you definitely start slow and peak towards the end. It's just so much stress on your body that you can't like be 100% all year round. So if an Olympic sprinter opened their season with a 10:15, you might say it's a little behind where you'd want them to be, but like we got to wait to see how the season goes. You got to consider he's 30 years old, taking a bunch of hits playing football. He's overweight, not like literally, but for track standards, he's in football shape, not track shape. His technique was really bad, and he didn't have anyone else there really like challenging him. For him to run 10:15 is crazy. And he got into a back and forth with Justin Gatlin, who won a ton of sprinting medals for America. He's one of our most decorated sprinters ever. And Tyreek Hill is, of course, saying like Noah Lyles could never do this. Noah Lyles never raced me, blah, blah, blah. There's some speculation that he might try to get on the USA 4x100 for the Olympics in 2026. And I have said for a long time now that I thought it was past him. I had guessed he was a 10-3 guy. For him to run that is actually nuts. Like, if he quit football today and purely trained as a sprinter, he could definitely be in contention to be on USA's team for the Olympics.
He should do that. Why not?
I mean, his football career is going downhill. I think it's fair to say. Not that he's bad, but he's over the hill. He's got his money. Like, and this is something. This was Tyreek Hill's first love. Let's not forget that. He was not a great football player. He didn't even go to college to play football. He went to college to run track. He was a world junior gold medalist. Like, this is the thing that started his athletic career.
He's made $119 million, but he's got a lot of babies to take care of.
He does, and track money doesn't really pay that well.
No, I mean, he's got a lot of babies to take care of. He's set to make, let's see here, he's going to make 29 million on his base this year. So, and then 26, then 27 void. So they can void, or he's an undrafted free agent in 27. Okay, so 10 million on his base. Next year is when the base goes up to 29 million. So he had to stick around for the long haul.
Yeah, I'd stick around, but like, if you want to spend your offseason training, you remember when DK Metcalf decided to go run that race, and he actually trained for 2 months, however long it was, just purely as a sprinter, didn't work on football at all. If Tyreek Hill wanted to do that, there's still a chance he could get on the relay team. To put in perspective how fast a 10:15 is, it's faster than Jesse Owens ever ran. Now, yeah. Jesse Owens, was competing a long time ago, almost 100 years ago, and technology and everything has advanced. But the point remains, he's like super, super fast is what I'm trying to say.
Well, also, too, with Tyreek, if he trains to be a sprinter for an entire offseason, I don't think that really impacts his football. Like, his job is to run straight down the field, catch the ball, and go for a touchdown, or make somebody miss on a short pass and go. Like, he don't need to block somebody. Like, he could lose a little weight and be just fine. They're not putting him out there to run block.
Yeah, he's built like a statue. Like, he's probably 200, 210 maybe.
Probably. So he could lose a little weight and be just fine. I mean, like, again, deep balls, drags and try to get up the field. Like, he's awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, he doesn't need to be 200.
And now that he's at 30 years old, players, when they get older in pretty much every sport, try to slim down a little because it's easier on their body.
Yeah. So I like it. That'd be pretty cool. It'd be cool to get Noah Lyles and him at the Olympics.
Yeah, it would be cool if they were teammates, because Tyreek he would never, well, I shouldn't say never. If he spent his life committed to track training, he could go for his own. His only chance he's got is being on a relay. But if him and Noah Lyles were teammates on a relay, considering how much back and forth they've had, that would be fun to see.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Grant, that was Ride the Line, greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment for June 17th, 2025. Take us out of here.
That's going to do it for this episode, guys. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Make sure you check out WSN.com if you're into sports betting at all. Some big games coming up. We will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.